All right. All right. So thank you guys for joining me today. We're going to be talking about our chapter 17 exam and going over some of the practical questions from yesterday's lab assignment. We're going to work on that, see if we can't clarify some of the CPT and ICD-10 issues that everybody's having. It's no one person. It's the whole class is really um just now getting a good handle on CPT and ICD-10. I think the workshops are helping out. So you guys definitely continue to attend. They'll do nothing but good, I'm sure. Um, so chapter 17, cardiovascular system. Y'all, there was a lot of information in this chapter, a whole lot on the heart. Um, I have done billing for a cardio doctor before. In fact, for an entire cardiology clinic. And have not come across, I had to deal with some of the information that was in this chapter. So don't let that kind of stuff freak y'all out. Um, I think a lot of why they make us go through this is just for familiarization with the terminology, with the material. So y'all get used to seeing those words, hearing those words. And one day when you hear it, it's going to go, oh, that's part of the heart system or part of the cardiovascular system or whatever system said word might belong to. But things will start clicking. Okay, so our exam, it's going to be kind of along the same lines as the other stuff. You're going to have about 10 multiple choice. That's questions coming straight out of your chapter exercises and review, which y'all should have already been through that. So y'all are usually good as gold on that stuff, on the theory questions. So some of that, I kind of eased up on the CPT and ICD-10. Y'all have got 3 questions for chapter 17. You're gonna have to find the CPT code, and 2 questions where you're gonna have to find the CPT and the ICD-10. And again, we're gonna go through some practice problems today to make sure that y'all kind of got a handle on that. Okay. And then there's another section that I added into this exam. And it's basically a little heart diagram. And you're going to label a couple of the, like, I think maybe 5 or 6 of the different parts of the heart. And you can find those illustrations in the book, of course. Let's see. And the illustration that is on the exam is almost identical to your chapter 17 worksheet. Your worksheet is labeling that illustration. So you guys have fun with that. So make sure you do that before you go take that exam. Okay. Let's see. Did anybody have any questions about the cardiovascular system heart stuff in particular? No? Everybody's kind of
No,
okay. Like I said, unless you are specifically working with cardio, there's a lot of this stuff you're not going to ever need. All right, so let's jump into the practical, because I know that's what everybody looks forward to, and me too, to an extent. So yesterday's lab assignment was the chapter 17 review practical section, right? So let's go ahead and look at the first one. All right, so question number 1, y'all can follow along in your book. If you have it with you, it's on page 486 is where this is starting off. All right. All right. So Dennis Smith, a 42-year-old railroad employee. He's an established patient, has a history of severe mitral stenosis with regurgitation, and it's rheumatic. Okay. He is now symptomatic, and his physician recommends a mitral valve replacement be performed immediately. Dennis agrees to the surgery, and the physician does a history and physical. With the medical decision making of high complexity in preparation for surgery, Okay, the physician orders a general health panel blood workup and a urinalysis, which is automated. That means you don't have to code that. On the next day, the physician performs a mitral valve replacement. Dentist recovers uneventfully and is discharged from the hospital 5 days later. Okay, so first of all, this is the longest one, and as far as scenario wise in this section, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to go over it, because there's a lot of information in here that y'all really don't need. Okay. And it says, per the answers, it's looking for 2 CPT codes and 1 ICD-10 code. Okay. So 2 procedural codes and 1 diagnosis code. All right. So the first thing I did with this one was picked out my keywords. Okay. Established patient. Established patient. And then later on in there, they say with the MDM of high complexity. So this established patient visit tells me that I'm going to need an E&M code, right? An office visit code. All right. Does anybody have their answers with them or have access to them? So you can tell me maybe what y'all got for this. I'd like to have some back and forth if I could.
I don't have my information on me.
Okay.
For the
that's not a problem.
established patient bit, I got 99396.
Not quite.
Right, okay.
But I'll tell y'all where to go to look for this. Okay. In the beginning of your CPT manual, in that beginning section, the E&M tables, right? Very beginning of the CPT manual. Page, it's one of the ones that doesn't even have a page number. It's XXV. Find your E&M tables, and then you're going to find in the first column down at the bottom, it's office or other outpatient services. And this was an outpatient visit. They didn't mention anything about him being admitted yet or anything like that. So it's an outpatient office visit, which is going to be somewhere in the range of 99211 to
Where do you see that?
99215.
I'm not seeing that.
Let's see. You have your
Yes, I have my
Okay.
book,
your textbook or your manual?
the manual.
The manual. Okay.
I have XXV.
Look in the
I'm
first
on it.
column. There's like a block up at the top and then a block down at the bottom.
Right.
Let's see.
Oh, okay, I see it.
You got it?
I got
Second
it.
block down there. Other office and other outpatient services. Okay. And they mention, all right, you see all your codes listed there, 99211 to 99215. All right. And basically, you can see the little X's on their table. They go down from straightforward to high medical decision making, MDM. Whenever you see MDM in a scenario, that's a clue. That's a clue. They're letting you know right there what level this office visit was at. So they're saying this was high. So looking at that table, for a high MDM, we're looking at a 99215. Do those of you that have it in front of you, does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Yes, it does.
Now it does.
Very good. Awesome. Okay, so that's going to be our first CPT code, right? Our E&M, the 99215. But we need to check this for modifiers, right? Is this going to require a modifier?
Not sure.
Yes. So.
Yeah, it is going to require a modifier. I'll give y'all that. I'll let you know that it will require a modifier, and I'll give you which one if y'all can tell me why. All right, I'll just tell you. It's because they made the decision to have surgery in this visit. So you're going to have to add a modifier 57. Okay. That's just one of those things, y'all, that y'all will start to recognize as you're reading things. when they made a decision to have surgery, or there was a bilateral procedure, or it was so long after post-op, all these different things that have modifiers attached, you will start to recognize those. This one is going to have the 57 modifier because they made the decision to have surgery in this visit. Your third party insurance payers need to know that information. That way they can make sure that all the charges were done correctly, outlined correctly, the dates are correct, and all of this is a part of your patient's medical record. So the dates and keeping track of what was done when and how is very important for the accuracy of the medical record. And once it's inaccurate, it is very hard to fix. That kind of is is something that's hard to do. Once you've incorrectly put something into somebody's medical record, it is really hard to correct that information and get that taken out. If you can ever get it taken out, most of the time you can't. You just have to notate elsewhere and get it put in the record that the information was incorrect. And this is the correct information. But anywho, so your modifier 57 because they made that decision. Okay. All right. So we know we're going to be looking for a second CPT code, a second procedural code. Can y'all tell me what that was? What code are we looking for? What procedure code?
Mitral valve replacement.
Yes, exactly. Mitral valve replacement. Okay. So basically what I did with that, I started with mitral in the alphabetic index in the CPT manual, right? Jump in the alphabetic index. I went with mitral just because, it's the main word, it's the main keyword there of the procedure. So you find mitral, and then once you look at that, I made notes on where it took me.
Replacement, it's 33430.
Exactly. And that's going to be page 352. No, I'm sorry, 262. 262, wrong one. All right, does it give you a range or does it give you that exact code?
I don't know. I was looking in the index.
It's given the exact code. It doesn't, well. Yes, it's,
Yeah, it
but
gives
it
you that
gives just that code because it says valvotomy with mitral valve, a closed heart. Because the other ones talk about cardiopulmonary bypass.
Gotcha. Yep. All right. So it gives you the 33430 on the money. So we'll go in there, go into the cardio section. And that's that nice teal color. Page 262 is where you can find that. All right, and there's no extenuating directions or anything really letting us know that we need to do anything different with that code. So that's going to be our code. It's going to be the 33430. That'll be your second CPT code. All right. The ICD-10 code on this one. The way we're going to look off of this, the condition or the diagnosis, severe mitral stenosis with regurgitation, rheumatic. Okay. Now, I started this off looking in the alphabetic index in the ICD-10 again on mitral. I thought that would be the best way to go. But when I looked at mitral, it had C condition. Okay, so what would my condition be with this, y'all? Mitral stenosis with regurgitation rheumatic. What condition am I going to look for? All right, it's going to be stenosis. All right, mitral stenosis. Regurgitation, it's just that affliction plus regurgitation, and the whole thing is rheumatic. So we're going to look for stenosis. So you go to your alphabetic index, you go to stenosis, and then it'll indent down under all the things that I guess can be afflicted with a stenosis, and you find mitral. Okay. Once you see mitral, I want to say there's like a regurgitation with regurgitation and without. That might be once you get to the particular code, but you're going to go to in the alphabetic index, it's page 434 in the ICD-10. And once you find mitral and regurgitation, it gives you the I05.2 ICD-10 code. And that's on page 434. Okay. Once you go to look up the I05.2, that is going to be in your, and remember that the ICD-10 chapters are labeled a little bit different than the CPT. Okay, in CPT, this stuff is going to be under cardio. In ICD-10, these are all afflictions of the circulatory system. Okay, so you're going to look in that circulatory section, which is chapter 9, and that's going to be page 889.
Saying some that it won't go with the title if I try to watch YouTube. And so, and the Center Network would have problems.
Okay. All right, so page
Restart it.
889.
Restart your,
All right,
What do
and
you
once you
want?
get there, y'all,
restart your TV.
does somebody need to mute? Let's see. Okay. Once you get there to page 889, you're gonna look in that block and see if there's any, basically how you need to code that, how many characters it needs to have, whether you need that X placeholder, if there's any alpha characters that are going to come after, you're going to look for all that fun stuff. I think this one does not. It's going to be a I05.2 dead on. If you look at this stuff around it, it doesn't fit. There's I want to say there was some extra stuff that came along with it, more specific.
How would you tell the difference, like if it says the I05.0 or the I05.2, because they both say rheumatic mitral stenosis, but the I05.2 is mitral stenosis with insufficiency?
Let me get to that page and we'll look at it together. The I.
Okay, yeah, I see, now I see regurgitation.
Yeah, we'll see that. It also says that on I05.1.
Yeah, then that's another thing too with rheumatic mitral regurgitation.
Okay. All right. You see on that I05.1 where it says excludes one, mitral insufficiency not specified as rheumatic. And it gives you a different code.
Yes.
Okay. That's why it's not going to, you're not going to use the I05.1. The I05.2 is going to be the better fit. Because, and also mitral insufficiency is not the same as mitral stenosis. You want the stenosis, and plus you're gonna stick in the range that it's given you, which I didn't look in the alphabetic index to see exactly what range it gave me, but I think it was pretty dead on that one. So basically, you're gonna check around it to make sure that it doesn't indent down anymore and get more specific. But that one, the IO 5.2 is the correct answer. Okay. And there's no X. So you don't need to carry it out any. You don't need any X placeholders there. And there's no little diagram box with alpha characters that you need to add to the end or anything like that. So you're good to go with the IO 5.2.
So
That
it's
makes sense.
because it has stenosis in that one, besides the IO 5.1 don't have stenosis. It
Right.
just needs insufficiency.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That makes sense, everybody? All right, very
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Awesome. All right. Our next one, question number 2. All right, this one was thrombectomy of arterial graft. And it's just asking us for a CPT code on that one, right? All right, so simple and easy and to the point, straight up look up thrombectomy. That's our procedure. This one I thought was a good one. It was kind of a simple one. We look up thrombectomy in the alphabetic index in your CPT manual. It's going to give you, I want to say it was a couple of pages of options of different codes that it applied to. But what I found, I went down and I found the one that fit us the best, thrombectomy of arterial graft. I looked for my different graft options and I found bypass graft. I think there was another one that had something to do with arterial, but it did not fit. So bypass graft was what we're going to go with on that one. Okay. And that one spit out code 35875. All right. So 35875, we go to that in our CPT manual, found in your cardio section. And that's going to be page 299. Y'all have got 3 different books that keep swapping out in front of me. 3, and 2 of them are really, really big. 299.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
We're supposed to have an actual physical book as far as the online book, the step-by-step? Okay, I didn't think so. I was just making sure.
No, just the coding manuals are going to be your only physical books. The workbook and your textbook are both in that ebook format. Yep. And unfortunately, I have yet to figure out a way to print them out. I would love that. And if I could get it to y'all, I would. I work so much better on paper than on a screen. I hate on a screen.
Me too.
But unfortunately, we're stuck kind of. But all right. So if you go to page 299, you find 35875, thrombectomy of arterial or venous graft. And it says other than hypodialysis graft or fistula. Okay. It doesn't, I don't see any other instructions that go along with this one. It was really simple, just the procedure. So we're not going to need any kind of modifiers or anything like that. So this one is pretty straightforward. 35875. Makes sense to you guys?
Yes.
Man,
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, so we're gonna go through just a couple more. One more where we're gonna look up the ICD-10s and one more that's just CPT. So number 3, direct repair of aneurysm and graft insertion for occlusive disease of the common femoral artery. Okay, so all we're needing is a CPT code here. So what was our procedure on this one? What do you guys think the procedure was? What's your go-to in the alphabetic index on this one?
Graph insertion.
Hmm, that's actually a good guess. And I didn't think about that, but I'd like to see how that comes out. Okay, I always say that there's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to the CPT codes, because you can start with the procedure or you can start with the body part, right? I did not think to start with graft insertion, but I'd like to see how that comes out if you look it up. What I went with on this one actually was aneurysm. Okay. You could also go with femoral artery. And I have figured out through working through some of these practice problems that when you're dealing with the cardiovascular system, anytime it says artery, start there. That's going to be the most direct route. If they're giving you the name of that artery and what they're doing with it, I think artery was actually the one that had like 3 pages of results of different things that could be done with it. So let's see, where's my note?
Yeah, I did the aneurysm. I started with that one.
That's what I had started with the first go round too. What did it tell you when you looked up aneurysm? Did it give you a list?
I'm going back and look, because I remember doing it last night, but
I've actually figured out how to print the book.
Did you?
Yes.
You want to share?
Let's see. Let me see if I can do it without losing y'all, or I have to grab another computer.
Okay, that's no problem. And look, if you want to try it out, see how it works
Okay.
later on, and get back with me. Shoot me a text if it works. Let me know how you did. So
It
I can
does.
see what everybody else.
It does. I've been printing. I have to have paper.
I have not been able to get mine to print. I've tried saving it 50 different ways.
Okay.
You just will not do.
Oh, shoot. That workbook. We don't want the workbook.
All right, but so the most direct route on this one, like I said, artery. Anytime it mentions artery, just go ahead and go for that. And from artery, it lists all the different ones. You get to femoral, and then it's going to list all your conditions or afflictions, injuries, whatever it is, diseases, illnesses, etc., that can be applied to the femoral artery. Okay, so right under femoral, you find aneurysm. Okay, and it gives you your 35141. Now, went to that was page 293 in your CPT manual.
and that's the code I came up with, the 35141.
That is correct. That is correct. There was nothing around it that told us we needed to do anything different. It was the best fit, so that's what we went with. 35141, page 293, if y'all want to look at that. All right, so we're just going to go over one more, just so we can get a little bit more practice on the ICD-10 part of this too. Let's see, number 4 in the practice, a surgical assistant, MD, medical doctor, assists in performing 5 venous grafts in a coronary artery bypass procedure for arteriosclerosis of the native arteries. Okay, so a lot of big words there, or enough big words, I would say. But what So we're looking for a CPT code for this one, guys, a procedure code and the diagnosis code. Okay, and one of each. So what's going to be our procedure? What do you guys think is going to be the procedure? It's going to be the coronary artery bypass. It even says procedure. In a coronary artery bypass procedure. Dead giveaway there. Okay. All right. So again, I tried to go at a different route and it got me to the same place, but the most direct route is if you go artery. Okay. You're dealing with the coronary artery. So you're going to go artery. All right. Then it's going to drop down into your different arteries. You're going to find coronary. And then it drops down again to your different procedures and illnesses and what. And there was a bypass under coronary. The bypass. Okay. So what code, anybody who has the manual with you, what code do y'all come out with for that one?
33514.
Yes. That is it. 33514. All right. But what other information stands out to you in this scenario?
5 venous grafts.
Yeah, and that is going to be important. The fact that there were 5 of them, that's going to play a part in picking our ICD-10 code. Okay. But as far as this procedural code, there's a modifier that we need to add on to this. Can anybody tell me what that's for? What the modifier that we're going to be adding on is for? Let me reread the thing. A surgical assistant assists in performing 5 venous grafts in a coronary artery bypass procedure for arterial sclerosis.
Assistant.
Bingo. Exactly. Assistant surgeon or assistant doctor. So we're going to add an 80. All right. And again, y'all, those modifiers are found in the CPT manual in Appendix A, way in the back, way in the back. Page 918, I think, is where they start. Okay. And again, if y'all get to the job market, y'all get in a job and y'all are coding and you forget a modifier on there, not the end of the world. The claim is going to come back. The insurance company is going to tell you, I can't pay this because it's missing a modifier. Figure out which one goes on there. And you will correct it and you will resend it. Now, you don't want that to happen a lot. You want to, once you figure out problems, you'll want to apply that information when you're filing the claim the first time. Because the more you have to correct and refile, you're literally doubling your work. Okay. The goal is to touch the claims once, get them out and get them paid. Okay. If they start coming back and having to be corrected and refiled and redone and retouched 3 and 4 different times, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the coding or the information. There's something wrong somewhere. So, the goal is to get the claim process. So you want to do it right the first time. But when you're first starting out, it is not the end of the world. I promise to forget a modifier or leave one off. It's going to be okay. All right. So 33514 with a modifier 80 indicating an assistant surgeon. Very good. All right. So let's look. What you got?
You have to memorize all the modifiers now.
No. You can.
They need them.
There's only like 3 pages of them. I think there's like maybe 26 or 27, and they're for real specific things. Like you add one the day you make a decision to have surgery, You add one if there's an assistant surgeon. You add one, if the same surgeon does an unrelated procedure during the post-operative period. There's like real specific instances that you will start to recognize once you start doing this. It's just, again, you'll start to recognize them once you start working. A lot of what you do depends, y'all have heard me say this over and over again, who you go to work for, what kind of, whether it's a hospital, a private practice doctor, a clinic, a third-party billing service, ambulance billing service. It all is really dependent on what they specialize in as to which of this content is going to apply to you the most. But the modifiers, you don't have to worry about memorizing codes because they change all the time. Modifiers, you don't have to memorize those because they're in the book for you. There's a list of them. If you think a modifier may or may not fit your situation, run through the list real quick and see, okay, no, none of that fits what I'm doing. Moving on, something like that. So no, I don't have them memorized by any means. When I was doing that kind of stuff, my first job that I worked 4 years for, where I did all the billing for about 5 different clinics, I got used to adding modifiers. 57s and 27s were what I used a lot. But I started to recognize when the coders would leave that off of the claim, it would come back to me. The claim would not go back to the coder. The claim comes back to the person who does the billing, because I correct the billing. I would go to the coder and say, hey, they're throwing this back to me saying it's missing a modifier. What do I need to add on? And she would explain to me, okay, it was this, it needs a modifier 27. So from then on, when I had that same claim, that same scenario come to me, that it's missing a modifier, but it was this, well, I know that I can add this 27 on there and just refile it, and I don't have to go back to my coder. So like I said, you don't have to memorize it. You'll get used to the ones that you use a lot in your work, if you use them in your work. Sometimes you don't. It's just all really dependent. But okay. Did that answer that question? I kind of got off on a tangent there. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's look for the ICD-10 for this last one, for number 4, real quick. All right. So it tells us in the scenario, 5 venous grafts, coronary artery bypass procedure for arteriosclerosis. So that's going to be our disease. Okay, arteriosclerosis. And this one was pretty straightforward. I found arteriosclerosis in the alphabetic index. From there, it gave me some options of, I think, the different arteries, different areas that you could get that in. I found coronary because we did a coronary artery bypass, right? So we're working with the coronary. And then that led me to I25.10. And I found that on page 894.
See, that's where I'm lost. I don't see coordinary. It's got so many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. You got to go through the list. You really do. Let me get to that page and we'll look at it together. I've got my big old book.
Well, I found it.
You found coronary under there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, you've got to sometimes, and I'm telling you, it gives you like 3 or 4 pages of options to look through under said injury or disease. And you've got to look through everything. That's kind of the sucky part of it, is you got to go through everything and see what's the best fit.
It's a little overwhelming.
It's a lot. It is a lot. When you start to look at 3 pages of stuff. But like, let's see. Let's look at this one. Okay, yeah, arterial sclerosis. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 different columns of crap to go through for this one disease. 6 different columns, 2 whole pages. In this, actually more than that. In this index devoted to this one thing, right? So you just have to start going down. If I can find the beginning of it. Okay,
So what's the difference if you put I-25.1 or I-25.10? Because the I-25.10 it says without angina pectoris. And the other one just says,
we'll get there in just a second.
okay.
Just a second. All right, so when I started looking under arterial sclerosis, again, y'all, there's like 3 pages, 6 different tabs, okay? But you basically, you look at all the things that are indented the furthest out, okay? You start there with the furthest indentions to the left and knock things off. And if you can knock off that, okay, like arteriosclerosis, chronic limb threatening ischemia, that's got nothing to do with what we're looking at. So I'm going to skip everything under that until I get to the next thing that's indented out that far. Okay, which that's not till like 2 columns over. All right, non-biological graft. That's got nothing to do with what I'm doing. I'm going to the next thing, which is another column over. So it's not like you have to read every single line. You just got to figure out which stuff you can cross off the list. It's a process of elimination, so to speak. Okay, does that make a little bit of sense, Aaron?
Yes, ma'am. But how do you know which one to pick under the coronary artery?
Let's see. On this one, we went all the way. Okay, look on page 119. We had to go
That's on
several columns over. And they're alphabetized. So you'll see it's right up at the top of the page on the left-hand side, page 119. It says coronary artery.
right. But then
And
it's
it
got a
says-
bunch of stuff under it.
Yeah, it's got bypass graft with, and then a bunch of different stuff. Okay, so what are we looking for here? Coronary artery bypass. Coronary artery bypass. 825. Okay, I think what I did was I went to coronary artery, the I-25.10. Let me check my note. But that makes sense to go to bypass graft. I see what you're saying. That does make sense. That does make sense to go there.
The only difference I see, it just says without the angina pectoris.
Right.
So you couldn't leave it as just the I-25.1. So it would come back because you don't have the 0.
Let me get to that page and see, because I'm still, it, I will agree with y'all that going to bypass grass, that I-25.8 does make some sense. The way the book and everything tells us to do it is to go to the coronary and then artery, and then nothing, it doesn't specify anything underneath that to look. So I would go there, which that was on page 894.
Yes.
All right. All right. So it brings you to the I-25.10, right? And you remember how I was telling y'all to look around those codes? And you asked me, why wouldn't you use the I-25.1? That little red stop sign right there is why. You see that little
Okay.
red stop sign next to I-25.1?
Yes.
That tells you that that is pretty much the beginning of a section. You're not going to use that code. You're going to use a code that is more specific. That stop sign is telling you stop. You need to look and see what's more specific, because you're not going to use this code. Okay.
Okay. So I always wondered what the little red stop sign was for.
There you go. That's what it is. Stop, look and see what's more specific. Okay, because you're not going to use this one. All right. And the only thing under this is the I-25.10,
Okay.
0.11, and it goes on for a few. But let's go ahead and start reading this, how they differentiate. All right. Atherosclerotic heart disease of native coronary artery without angina pectoris. Okay. Well, they don't mention about anything about angina in our scenario, so that kind of fits. But let's go on and read the next one and see what that one says, and maybe it fits better. Yeah. So
But that one has with angina
with
pectoris.
angina. So that definitely is not going to be it, right? Because
Yes.
we don't have angina. That's not included in our stuff. If you go
Okay.
over to this next column, same thing with angina and a spasm. Well, we don't have angina or spasm, so they don't work for us. Other forms of angina, nope, still no angina.
Okay.
Is it, and then the 119 with unspecified angina, nope, still no angina. So that tells me that we're going to use the I-25.10. It was really the only one that fit, because it was the only one that was without angina, right? That makes sense, y'all?
So whenever they have a stop sign, it means don't use that code. Look,
Look in the
Further down.
indentation, look right under it and see how it indents down and what your options are there.
okay.
All right, so. And I also want to bring to y'all's attention, do y'all see, I only went through the I-25.119 when I was reading. When I got to the I-25.2, I stopped. I didn't bother going into that part. That's because that's a different section. It's a whole different, we're not looking at heart disease. Once you move to the I-25.2, you go to an old myocardial infarction. Got nothing to do with what we're talking about. So we're going to stay in this section, the 125.1. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Now, we figured out that we're going to use that I-25.10. All right. We don't need any X placeholders on this because it doesn't tell us we do. There's no little red X next to that. That's what, when y'all see those little red X's next to the codes, that means you have to add those X's in to fill it out to that 7th character. That's what they're looking for there. You're either gonna have to add 1 or 2, depending on the code. But they're trying to get it to that 7th character. So whenever you see the little red stop sign, look for the indentation to see a more specific code. And when you see an X, little red X, you know that you're gonna have to add either 1 X or 2 in there to finish building it out to the 7th character. Make sense? Some starting to come together a little bit.
A little.
And for
Okay,
those of
got it.
you, ma'am, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
When you're looking in there, they have a bunch of like color coded stuff. I don't understand the colors.
If you look down at the bottom of the page, it tells you like the little, everything that's highlighted in purple is a keyword.
Gotcha.
If it's highlighted in yellow, you're gonna be using another code with that code. It's like, I think the definition is use additional. So you're gonna use additional codes with this code, is basically what that's telling you. But there's a little legend down at the bottom of the book, and it's on every single page, and it spans left page and right page, and it's all different. Okay. And that tells you different, what the little stop sign means, what the little X means, what your different highlighted sections are. It's basically a key of how to read some of this stuff. Very handy. Very
Yeah,
handy.
I like that. They should have did the CPT code like book manual like that.
It actually does have a small one down there, Aaron. If once you get in there and you look down at the bottom, it's not quite as inclusive as this one, but they do offer some information. Yep. All right. So that's all I had. I just wanted to go through pretty much some simple, or some of the stuff that y'all have looked at in the assignments and maybe had issue with. I hope I was able to clarify it if that was the case. If not, if y'all haven't done that assignment yet, you just got a head start. So good for you on that. You guys know that by coming, you automatically get your attendance for today and your full points for the lab assignment. So nothing more for you to do there. And if y'all don't have anything from me, I do want to mention that the second ICD-10 workshop is going to be tomorrow night at 7:30. I'm going to post the Zoom invite for that in news and announcements sometime this evening. If you did not make it to the ICD-10 workshop number 1, that was last night, it is recorded in the virtual meetings page. Y'all can find it there and check it out. And of course, I'll record number 2 for those of you that can't make it to that one as well. But so with that being said, y'all got anything else for me?
Yeah, if you go, I don't know if you can get onto yours. If you go to your book, your ebook,
Uh-huh.
and if you're looking at the chapter 17,
Are you on the website or the app?
yes, the website.
Website, okay.
If you click on, there's a circle with 3 dots,
Yeah.
click on print, and then you click whatever page to whatever page.
I want to say that I had tried that. Let's see.
And then just pick what, like the beginning of chapter 7 to the end of chapter 7, and then hit print, and then it'll should say print job. It takes a few minutes. And you should be able to print it from there.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm trying that right now to see if that works.
Oh, that's good information to know.
I'm telling you. Y'all, these Zoom meetings, I'm telling you.
I just went to that and clicked on it, and it does ask you what pages you want to print.
Yeah, just go like figure out the first page and figure out the last page and then give it. And then
Y'all,
you
I
should
have
be able
tried
to
to
go.
do this so many times and this has never popped up for me before. I'll be danged. Okay, well, looks like that's gonna work. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Or
And
they,
wait,
um,
So when it does print, it's gonna print with your email across it and like do not copy because you know it's not supposed to be
Yeah,
a thing.
yeah, copyright issues, blah, blah.
Mhm.
I got you. Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Trisha.
for the homework, the heart thing or whatever, the heart, I can't find some of these answers, you know, like some of them.
The labeling part,
Yeah.
I noticed that after I did that, some of them were not in our illustration in the book. Do your best. It'll be okay. Just get the ones that are there in the book and I'll give you, for the ones that weren't there, I'm not going to mark you wrong. Put it that way. Y'all know me. I'm not going to hold you responsible for anything you can't do. So just if you cannot find the answer in the book, there's no way to write in an answer on that either because it's a live worksheet.
I downloaded the PDF. I mean,
That's right. Well, I got the live link there to do it live, or I put the PDF also in case y'all want to do it that way. So if you do it by the PDF, just go ahead and write, you know, not able to label or whatever. Something letting me know that that wasn't in the book. But the ones I picked 5 off of that illustration and put them on the exam. And I did double check and make sure that those are in the book. So you're good to go on that. Don't worry about the exam. All right. Anything else, guys?
I definitely learned that tabbing the CPT manual is the only way.
Yeah, it's super handy. Super handy. And I mean, I don't know if y'all noticed yet, but the chapters, as we go through them in the module, chapter 17, 18, 19, blah, 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 it's following the chapters in the CPT manual. So basically all the codes that you're going to look for in your chapter 17 practical are going to be found in that one chapter. If you're finding a code that's leading you off somewhere else, you're on the wrong track. You need to backtrack a little bit and maybe start over. But yeah, the labeling and the tabbing of these manuals is vital. It really is. Unless you're just that good that you've got all of it memorized and you don't mind flipping through that book so much, you know, but I ain't got time. I ain't got time. So yeah, I label the crap out of everything. Definitely. All right. Anything else, ladies?
No.
Oh, man.
Everybody good? I didn't say hey to you earlier, Precious, but hey,
Hi.
glad you were able to make it, sweetie.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and wish y'all a blessed rest of your evening. I'm going to go take a nap. Text me if y'all need anything. My ringer will be on. And good luck with chapter 17 exam. Hopefully I'll see most of y'all at the ICD-10 workshop tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a great day, y'all.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.